Hello dear students, this is Professor Amar Bakudi. So in the previous sessions we have completed with the problems on optimum number of rain gauge stations to check the continuity as well as consistency with the help of double mass curve technique. Also we have checked up with respect to determination of effective areas for the rain gauge stations to determine the mean precipitation, that is through the Thiessen polygon method. Okay, so the first one what we have solved, it was for the Thiessen polygon method. So in this session we are going to solve one more problem or one more type of problem on Thiessen polygon, and then we'll go for the isohydral method. So those things we'll be covering up in this particular session. Okay, so basically for the Thiessen polygon method, the previous problem what we have solved, so in that they have given the figures and they are asking you to determine the effective areas with the help of those standard formulas. Okay, so in the second type basically we'll have something called as weightage ratio. So that is basically your effective area to the total area, that particular ratio itself they will be giving. So this problem will be much more easier than the previous one what we have solved. Okay, so once again I'll read up this question, we'll try to understand, then we'll go for the solution of this. Thiessen waits for a network of 10 rain gauges in a river basin of area 6,000 kilometers squared are 0.10, 0.16, 0.12, 0.11, 0.09, 0.08, 0.07, 0.11, 0.06 and 0.11. The rainfall records at these stations during a storm are 132, 114, 162, 138, 207, 156, 135, 158, 168 and 150 mm respectively. Determine the average depth of rainfall by Thiessen method and arithmetic mean method. So this is what is being asked over here. Okay, so if you check out here, basically what they are asking here, they have given something called as Thiessen weights. Okay, so Thiessen weights are nothing but this factor. So as I have told you in the previous slide, so your Thiessen factor is Thiessen weights is nothing but AI by A. So that is your individual respective area divided by the total area will give you this particular ratio, and this ratio itself we call it as Thiessen weights. Okay, so what they have done is Thiessen weights for a network of 10 rain gauge stations in a river basin of 6,000 kilometers squared are so and so. So what they have done is, if I just try to explain this, imagine this as the catchment area. Okay, and in this catchment area they have 10 rain gauge stations. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, so they have 10 rain gauge stations in this particular catchment area, and the area of this is how much? 6,000 kilometer squared. Yeah, so the area of that is 6,000 kilometers squared. So this is what is being given in the question. Now if you check out basically how this will work out is your particular what I can say, you basically if you want to determine the mean precipitation of this entire catchment area, right? So then you need to determine individually what is the effective area for each of these rain gauge stations. Okay, so then only you'll be able to determine the average precipitation. So yeah, with the basic knowledge what we have, so basically your work should be something like this. So you should get an effective area for each of these rain gauge stations, right? So right now I'm randomly drawing a particular what I can say, the catchment sorry, the effective areas for all these. Okay, yeah, so if you imagine the sections just now what I have drawn is indicating the effective areas for each of these rain gauge stations. Then basically how you are going to do, you are multiplying the area with respect to each of the rainfall data that has been collected, right? So you will be doing this for all the 10 sections that I have done, and if you add up all those 10 sections, basically you will be getting up the mean precipitation. Okay, with the help of formula you will be getting the total volume of precipitation, or the mean precipitation over the entire area that can be determined out. Now what they have done is, so instead of asking you to determine such kind of a area, what they have done is they have given these Thiessen weights, what they have given AI by A. So actually what this AI by A is, if I just try to explain this with one or two examples, it will be like okay, so it will be like, imagine the this particular, the first term which is there. Okay, so the rainfall collected over here is how much? 132 mm. Okay, and the Thiessen weight what they have given is 0.1. So what actually, if I imagine this particular section as the data which is there for this 0.1 and 132, so how this is going to work is, if I call this as the first area, okay, so then it will be like A1 divided by total area, that is the area of this particular section, that is, I'll just try to highlight this. Okay, so the area of this particular section, right, divided by the total area of this entire catchment area. So that value already they have given it there. So that value is how much? 6,000 square kilometers. So already this is given in the question, right? So this is nothing but the capital A. Yeah, this is what your total area which is there. Now what this 0.1 is indicating over here is, it is basically what? The ratio of this particular yellow colored area divided by 6,000 kilometers square, that is the total area, will directly give you this particular number. Okay, so since it is area by area, it is a unitless number. Thiessen weights, what we'll get, it is a unitless number. So this basically indicates what? 0.1 indicates what? It is nothing but the ratio of A1, that is that effective area of that rain gauge station divided by the total area. So here one more thing that I can give you is basically 0.1, this ratio, what it is telling us is, basically this is having what? 10% of the total area. Okay, because if you check out, if I just try to simplify this with a equation, okay, how it is going to work out, I'll just tell you. Right now, based on their equation what they have given, so A1 by A, that is Thiessen weights, what they have given, it is how much? 0.1, this 0.10, but already we know the area of total area as how much? 6,000 kilometers square. Yeah, so now if I need to determine this A1, it is as simple as that, your cross multiplication. So this 6,000 will go on here on the right hand side, so you will be getting 0.10 into 6,000. So this is going to be how much? 600 square kilometers. So even in this way, basically you can determine the effective areas. Okay, but instead of going for such kind of a calculations, directly we have a formula where we can use this Thiessen weights to get the answers. Okay, so this is how, that's why I said 10% is indicated by this 0.1. Okay, so if you check out with all the other things which are there, so if you add up all these integers, so it should become 1. So that, because total ultimately this is 100%, and this 100% has been divided into 10 different parts with various particular sizes as they have given it over here. I hope this clears it out. Okay, so ultimately our basic concept is still remaining the same. We are trying to determine the effective areas for each of the rain gauge stations, then only we are going to get the what I can say, the mean precipitation over that area with the help of Thiessen polygon method. Okay, but here the way in which we are calculating with respect to the previous technique what we have used, so that is different. So that's why I'm trying to explain with respect to Thiessen weights and what do they mean. Okay, so similarly, as I have explained with the one, so you can imagine this is the second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on till the 10th, and these are nothing but the rainfall data that has been collected over there. So once you know this particular area, so now 6000 kilometers square multiplied by 132 mm, so that will give you the total amount of rainfall for this particular section. So like this you need to go on doing this for the entire 10 sections, so then you will get the total precipitation. If not, in this case, in this problem they are asking you to determine the average depth of rainfall, so you need to determine the mean precipitation. So for mean precipitation we have a fixed set of formula, so that we can use it off. Okay, so I hope this clears what is the difference between the previous problem and this particular problem. Okay, now coming back to the formula. Okay, so this is basically what the question was, and how we need to go with the solution. Okay, so basically we have for average precipitation formula, summation of I varying from 1 to n pi of ai by a. Okay, so what does this mean? I varying from 1 to n indicates what? So n is indicating the total number of rain gauge stations in that catchment area. N is indicating the total number of rain gauge stations in that catchment area. Okay, and pi is indicating the individual rainfall data collected from that respective rain gauge stations. So this I which is there, the pi as well as ai, so these two will vary from 1 to 10. So if I expand this particular formula, my formula will be something like this. So P1 into A1 by A plus P2 into A2 by A plus P3 into A3 by 3, and so on up till P10 into A10 by A. Okay, so now if I do this, okay, so individually there is no need for me to again with this help of such kind of a calculation to calculate the value of a1 and then put it over there to get the answers. No, because already this Thiessen weights what they have given, it is the ratio of a1 by a itself, a2 by a2 a3 by a, so and so forth. So similarly right now if you check out, so directly I have written it as p1 value is how much, 132 multiplied by first a1 by a is 0.1 plus 114 is the second rainfall data collected, and into 0.16 is the a2 by a value. Similarly 162 is the third rain gauge station data collected, and 0.12 is nothing but the a3 by a, so the same thing is visible here. Similarly 207 into sorry fourth one is 138 into 0.11. Next it is 207 into 0.09. Yeah, so it is here. Next it is 156 into 0.08, 135 into 0.07, 158 into 0.11, 168 into 0.06, and 150 into 0.11. So if you check out all these things together, basically they are going to give you the formulas if I just substitute it over there. Okay, and if you calculate that, so ultimately you will be getting the P average value as 150.58 mm. Okay, so ultimately we are getting 150.58 mm. So this is going to be the mean precipitation over the entire area. So here the basic concept what we have used, and what is there for the calculation of this Thiessen polygon method, this is still remaining the same, but the only difference is the way in which we are calculating. Instead of individual effective areas, here we have something called as Thiessen weights. So with the help of those Thiessen weights, we are determining the mean precipitation of that particular catchment area. Okay, so this is how to solve the second type of problem on Thiessen polygon method. Now this particular problem is the next type, that is for the isohydral method. So again this isohydral method we use it for determination of this particular effective areas or the mean precipitation over the catchment area for the same purpose itself. Okay, so here if you check out again, I'll read out the question, we'll understand, and then we'll go for the solution. The analysis of storm yielded the following information regarding the isohyds. Calculate the average depth of rainfall. So isohydral interval in terms of millimeters, so it is 70 to 80, 80 to 90, 90 to 100, 100 to 110, 110 to 20, 120 to 30. And the area in kilometers squared is 10, 85, 113, 98, 136 and 67. So the same question is being asked on June 2014. Okay, so if you check out, they have given two things, isoheital interval and area. So two things have been given, so the same thing have been arranged in terms of column. Okay, so now if you check this out, imagine this is your catchment area. Okay, first you need to understand what do you mean by this particular term called as isoheight. Okay, so your isoheight is something similar to your contour. Okay, whenever we say contour, so we usually say that it is an imaginary line which is joining the points of equal RL. We say the contour is nothing but it is an imaginary line that joins the points of same RL. Okay, but now here in this isoheight we say it is also an imaginary line which joins the points of same rainfall. What do I mean by that? So for that, if I just try to explain this, okay, let us say a simple thing. Okay, having a random shape of a catchment area, or you imagine this as a Belgaum city itself. Okay, or let us say Karnataka itself. Okay, so at that point of time we have different rainfalls at different places. Okay, so if I say let us take this, imagine I have let us say some 100 mm of rainfall over here at this point. Similarly, I have some 90 mm of rainfall over here. Yeah, so here I imagine I have 80 mm of rainfall. Yeah, so here also I have, let us say, 100 mm of rainfall. Yeah, so here also I have 100 mm of rainfall at this particular specific points. Okay, similarly here I have 90 mm of rainfall on this point, and similarly over here if I have 80 mm of rainfall. So if I just join these particular lines, okay, with the help of, yeah, so this will become the isoheight for this. So for 90 mm of rainfall, this will be for 80 mm of rainfall. So again these isoheights will exhibit all the characteristics of a contour. So that is, these contours cannot overlap on each other, they cannot touch each other, right? So whatever the rules we follow for contours, okay, the same thing will be even followed by these isoheights. But the only difference is, instead of that particular RL, here these particular imaginary lines will join the points of equal precipitation. Okay, because you have different places at which the same precipitation will occur. So if you draw an imaginary line passing through those particular points, then you are going to get these isoheights. Okay, so this is a basic explanation on what a isoheight is. Again, the details regarding this is already discussed in the theoretical part when we considered this isoheights. Okay, now keeping this in mind, now if I come to this problem, what they have given and what they have asked. Okay, so if you check out, they have given us the isoheital range in terms of millimeters and the effective area, or else the area between these isoheights. Okay, so what this is indicating, it is something like this. If I try to convert this table which is shown over here in this problem into a representative form, so it will be something like this. Initially I have 70 to 80 mm. Okay, so since they have given us that it is from 70 to 80 mm, in the figure I am going to write that. So this 70 mm contour, sorry, this isoheight will pass exactly at the edge of this particular catchment area as I have drawn it now. Okay, now the second one will be 80 mm, so it is running something like this. Okay, so this is just an assumption on which I am drawing. Okay, I am trying to express this particular table which is given in terms of the graphical representation, so that we can have a better understanding of that. Okay, so now the next one will be 80 to 90 mm. So the next one is 80 to 90. So already 80 I have drawn, so here it will be like 90, right? So then it is 100. Okay, next we have 110. Yeah, next we have 120, and if you check out, the last one is 120 to 130. So I am going to assume that the last bit is actually passing exactly at the end of this particular catchment area. Okay, and if I try to write these, so your values will be something like, this is for 70, this is contour for 80 mm, this is for 90, this is for 100, this is for 110, this is for 120, and this is for 130. Okay, so this is how you can basically express this. Okay, now similarly, if I just say this, so in between this 70 and 80 iso height, we have the area covered as how much? 10 kilometers squared. So what does that indicate? It indicates that the area over here is how much? 10 kilometers squared. The area that has been encapsulated, or else the area between the contour 70 mm and 80 mm, sorry, the iso height 70 and 80 mm is basically nothing but what? 10 kilometers squared. So that is what is being given over here. Now similarly, for 80 to 90 it is 85 kilometers squared. It is how much? 85 kilometer squared. Similarly, the next one we have is 113. So 113 kilometers square is the area between 90 and 100 mm. Next, it is 98. Yeah. Similarly, 136. Yeah. Next, it is 67. So don't think about the area differences. Okay, regarding the numbers, it is not to scale. This is just for the information that I am sharing with you. Okay, now keeping this in mind, now if I need to go for the solution of this, ultimately here also what do I want? I want to determine the mean precipitation, calculate the average depth of rainfall over here. So here also what I'll do, as we have done in the Thiessen polygon, we'll take the average of this, because ultimately what this is the effective area. So here if you check out, I have not mentioned anything about the rain gauge stations. Okay, but here instead of that rain gauge station, what we are doing, in the previous figure just now, what I have drawn over here, so I have shown you the points of equal rainfall, right? So from where do we get that point of equal rainfall? That is through the rain gauge stations itself. So these ISO heights are actually drawn with the help of placement of those rain gauge stations. Okay, so once we have these ISO heights, so at that point of time we have stopped representing the rain gauge stations. I hope you got that. Okay, so the basis for these ISO heights are nothing but the rain gauge stations itself. So that's why once we have these ISO heights, that's why I have not mentioned anything about the rain gauge station numbers or placements in this catchment area. Neither they have given it in the question. Okay, so keeping that in mind, so now again here what we need to do is, this is the first area. If I just try to highlight it, right? So this is the first section of the area that we have. Okay, now if I need to determine the effective area for this first section, okay, then what should I do? Basically I am going to multiply the rainfall which is occurring on this particular area, the rainfall occurring on the yellowed portion right now, what I have done, multiplied by the area, that is 10 kilometers squared. Now what is the amount of rainfall that is happening over here? That is again based on the assumption that since it is covering between the 70 mm and 80 mm rainfall, then you obviously know the rainfall that is going to occur in between these two contours will be between 70 and 80. So that's why what I will do is, I will take the average of this 70 and 80. Okay, and I'm going to assume that is the average rainfall that is occurring on this particular portion of the catchment area. I hope I am clear with this. I'll repeat this once again. So what we are assuming is, since this first portion of the catchment area is covered in between the 70 mm and 80 mm iso height, Okay, so at that point of time, I am going to be sure that the rainfall in between these two particular contours will be between 70 and 80 mm. Okay, so for that, what I am doing, I want to have the average rainfall that is occurring on this particular section. So that's why what I'll do, I'll take the average of 70 and 80, which is the iso height value. Okay, and then I'll multiply it with the effective area, which is going to be here. Right, so the same way, if I try to represent that in a formula, so how it is going to be, you check out. So this average precipitation will be is equals to P1 plus P2 by 2, that is, this is going to become P1 now. Okay, so this is P2, P1 plus P2 by 2, so that is average of 70 and 80, arithmetic average, into A1. A1 is what? This 10 kilometers squared. A1 is nothing but this 10 kilometer squared. Similarly, the second term will be, since we have these continuous numbers, so you can check out 80 is coming again as the first number for the second iso height. Similarly, the 90 is coming as the first number for the third iso height. So these are in linked. Okay, so because one iso height is again linked with the second term which is going to come there. So that's why here it will be P1 and P2. Similarly, for the second term, it will be P2 and P3, that is 80 and 90. So what I'll do, 80 plus 90 divided by 2, that is the average rainfall that is occurring over there, multiply it by the effective area which is going to be here. So even if I try to show you this, so our second option is going to be something like this. Yeah, second option is going to be something like this. Yeah, so here at this point of time, I'll take the average of 90 and again 80. Okay, so similarly, if you check out, we need to go at till the end. So till 130 mm what we have, so here we have 6 sections. So ultimately we need to go at till that particular part. Okay, so P1 plus P2 by 2, P2 plus P3 by 2 into A2, basically P3 plus P4 by 2 into P3, P4 plus P5 by 2 into A4, P5 plus sorry P5 plus P6. So the formula has gone wrong here, sorry. So P5 plus P5 plus P6 it should have been, okay, by 2 into A5, and P6 plus P7 by 2 into A6. So this is what it should be. So now if I just show you divided by the whole area. So the whole area, how we will get, this is basically the addition of this particular column which is there, right? So if you add up this A1, A2, A3, A4, A5 and A6, ultimately you will be ending up with the entire thing. Okay, now if I just apply this numbers into this formula, so what I'll get, 70 plus 80 by 2 into 10, this is 1. 80 plus 90 divided by 2 into 85, 80 plus 90 by 2, that is the average, into 85. Next we have 90 plus 100 divided by 2, 90 plus 100 divided by 2 into 113, which is there. Next 100 plus 110 divided by 2 into 98, next term. 110 plus 120 by 2 into 136, which is over here. And lastly 120 plus 130 by 2 into 67. So that is the last term which is over here. Okay, so keeping this divided by the whole area, so this column whichever is there, so the entire thing has been calculated over here. So based on that, the average precipitation that we have got is nothing but the 104.15 mm. Okay, so this is how basically we do the calculations with the isoheital method. So you can check out again in the next questions what we are going to calculate. So the way in which we can represent these particular calculations will be different. Okay, but the basic concept right now what I have shown with the help of this particular figure, so this is going to remain same, because there is no need for you to stick up with a specific formula over here. Ultimately, if you know the basic concept, you can derive that formula and you can basically utilize those things for your calculations. Okay, so this is the first problem that we have solved on the isoheital method. Okay, so in the next session again we'll calculate various different ways of calculation using isoheital method itself.